So picture this. You're standing in a really busy coffee shop.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Right. The barista looks right at you and asks a super simple question in English.
And suddenly, your brain just completely freezes.
Exactly. Total freeze. You know the words, you've studied them, but you are furiously translating the question in your head.
Well, the silence is getting, really awkward.
Yeah, and the line of people behind you is just waiting and staring. Well, welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to fix that exact moment for you.
It's such a common problem for language learners.
It really is. We're looking at a very practical guide today. It's called 5 Brain Hacks for B1 English Fluency.
And the whole goal here is to help you stop translating in your head so you can finally speak English naturally and honestly with confidence.
That moment in the coffee shop, our source material actually calls that the translation trap.
The translation trap, I like that term, because when you're in it, you aren't really having a conversation. You're doing this massively complicated mental routine.
Let's actually break that routine down for the listener, just so we fully understand the problem.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, when someone speaks to you in English, you're actually doing 4 different things. First, you hear the English words.
Right.
Second, you take those words and you translate them into your native language inside your head.
Which takes time.
Exactly. Third, you think of your answer, but you think of it in your native language. And finally, fourth, you translate that answer back into English so you can speak.
I mean, just listening to those 4 steps, it sounds exhausting.
It is. Those 4 steps take a massive amount of time. You just cannot have a normal, fast conversation when you're doing 4 separate tasks just to say one single sentence.
The delays just become way too long.
Think about driving your car on a nice long road. You want to go fast, enjoy a smooth ride.
Sure.
But imagine there is a red traffic light every 100 meters.
Ugh, that's the worst.
Right. You drive a little bit, then you have to stop. There you go. And you stop again.
That's a perfect way to look at it. Translating in your head is exactly like hitting those red traffic lights.
It totally ruins your forward momentum. It makes speaking painfully slow.
And stopping at all those mental traffic lights does a lot more than just slow you down.
What do you mean?
Well, it actually drains your physical energy. A lot of learners wonder why speaking a new language for just 10 minutes leaves them feeling completely exhausted.
Oh, I felt that. You just want to take a nap afterward.
Exactly. We need to look at what's actually happening inside your brain. It's all about this concept called cognitive load.
Cognitive load. Okay, so why does it take so much energy? Let's spend a minute exploring this hidden cost of translation. What is cognitive load in simple terms?
So your brain has a short-term memory system. We call it working memory.
Okay.
You can think of working memory like a small table in your mind.
A small table. Got it.
Right. And you can only put about 4 to 7 items on this table at one time. It's a very limited space.
So it fills up fast.
Very fast. Now, when you speak your native language, the words just come automatically. You only use that mental table to think about your actual ideas or your feelings.
But when we translate, we are basically filling up that small table with dictionary work.
Yes. You're putting the English word on the table, then the native word, then you're trying to fit the grammar rules on there too.
Wow. So the table is completely full.
Completely full of translation tasks. There's literally no room left for your actual ideas. Your brain is trying to run 2 totally different language operating systems at the exact same time.
So you're jumping from the native language system over to the English system and then jumping back again.
Exactly.
It's like holding a smartphone. When we translate, we're basically running way too many heavy apps at once.
That's a great analogy.
We have a listening app open, we have the native language app open, and we have the translation app open.
And all those apps are just running constantly in the background.
Right. And when heavy apps run in the background, your mental battery drains super quickly. The whole system starts to lag.
And then the system crashes. You freeze. You forget basic words you already know simply because your mental battery is just empty.
That makes perfect sense. So the goal of these 5 brain hacks is to teach you how to close those background apps.
Exactly. We need to force close that native language app. That way, your brain actually has the energy to just run the English app.
We need to clear the table, close the extra apps. So how do we actually do this?
We start small. We start with the everyday objects right in front of us. The guide suggests we begin by labeling our world.
Labeling our world. This is the first hack.
Yes. This is step 1 to closing the native language app. The whole concept is about changing how you see physical objects.
Okay, give me an example.
Normally, when you see an animal with 4 legs and a tail in the park, you see the animal, you think the word in your native language, and then you translate it to the English word dog.
Right, that's the 3-step trap. Animal, native word, English word.
To label your world, you have to cut out that middle step completely. You train your brain to directly connect the visual picture of the animal to the English word dog.
So you see the animal and your brain instantly produces the English sound.
Exactly.
This sounds like something you have to practice all day. Like as you walk around your house or your city, you just look at things and name them in English.
That's exactly it. It's a daily practice.
So I look at a door, I just think, door? I pick up my keys, I think, key.
Yes. You drink your morning drink, you think coffee. You look up outside, you think blue sky.
By doing this all day long, you are building a direct bridge between the real world and the English language.
You're wiring it directly.
Wait, I have to push back a little bit here.
Okay, go for it.
Isn't that just basic vocabulary memorization? I mean, every English learner already studies lists of words. How is looking at a cup and thinking cup any different from just reading a vocabulary list?
That is a really important difference to understand. Sitting at a desk and reading a list of words, that's just memory. You are training your eyes to read letters on a page.
Okay.
But labeling your world is about building a reflex.
A reflex, like when a doctor taps your knee with a small hammer and your leg just kicks out automatically.
Yes, perfect example. A physical reflex happens without you thinking about it at all. A language reflex is the exact same thing.
So when you build a language reflex, the word just comes to you automatically. You don't have to search your memory.
Right. You are completely removing the middleman, which is your native language. You see a cup, you just know it's a cup. No translation needed.
I like that. Removing the middleman is a great goal. But, labeling individual objects is really only a starting point.
True.
We obviously do not speak in single words. If we try to glue single English words together using our native language grammar, the system is just going to crash again.
It absolutely will.
So how do we build full sentences without triggering that translation trap?
This brings us to hack number 2. We need to move from single words to groups of words. The guide calls this learning in chunks.
Learning in chunks.
Yeah, a chunk is a phrase or a group of words that always stay together. Native speakers use chunks constantly. We really don't build sentences word by word.
Okay, so think about building a toy house out of Legos.
I love Lego analogies.
Right. If you use those tiny single stud bricks, it takes forever. You have to carefully put every single small piece together. Translating word by word is exactly like using those tiny bricks.
It's slow and painful.
But learning in chunks is like using large pre-assembled Lego blocks. You just put 2 or 3 big blocks together and suddenly, boom, you have a whole wall. It's much faster.
And the best part about using those large Lego blocks is that you don't even have to worry about the grammar rules.
Because the grammar's already built into the block.
Exactly. Let's look at a really basic real-world example. Take the phrase, how's it going?
Oh yeah. If you translate how is it going word by word into your native language, it probably makes absolutely no sense.
Right. Going where? Who is going?
Exactly.
But if you learn it as one big block, your brain just knows the whole block simply means, how are you? You don't translate 4 separate words.
That makes total sense. Another good example is, by the way.
Yes. You don't translate the word by and the word way. You just know this chunk is the tool you use when you want to change the subject in a conversation.
Let's actually give you, the listener, a few more specific examples. Things you can use at the A2 and B1 level. These are big blocks you can use every single day.
Let's hear them.
Here is a very useful chunk. I was wondering if...
Oh, that is a fantastic one. This is the perfect chunk to use when you want to make a polite request or, when you want to ask for a favor without sounding rude.
Like, imagine you need help from your manager at work. You definitely don't say, give me Friday off.
No, please don't say that. That is way too direct and definitely rude.
Right. Instead, you use your big Lego block. You say, I was wondering if I could take Friday off.
It sounds so natural and so polite.
And your brain doesn't have to build the complex grammar for being polite. You just grab the chunk, I was wondering if, and you add your simple request at the very end.
Exactly. Here is another excellent chunk. It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Yeah. You use this chunk when you want to give someone else the power to make a choice.
Let's do a quick role play to show how it works. Imagine we are friends and we're trying to decide what to eat for dinner.
Okay.
I ask you, should we get pizza or should we get burgers tonight?
I can just drop in my chunk and say, I don't mind. It's up to you.
Which just means You choose.
Right. I do not translate the words up or toe. I just use the big block. It saves so much mental energy.
Let's do one more chunk. This is a great one. To be honest.
Oh, we use that one all the time. To be honest, it's a great block to use when you want to share an opinion that might be a little negative, or maybe when you were about to disagree with someone.
It softens your statement, right?
Exactly. If someone asks, did you like the movie? You can say, to be honest, I thought it was a bit boring.
You just pull that block out of your memory, and honestly, it buys you a second to think about your opinion, too.
It really does.
So we have our single words from labeling our world. We have our big phrases from learning in chunks. Now, how do we practice putting them all together?
Well, we run into a bit of a problem here.
Which is?
When we read an English book or like a study guide, the written text itself often triggers our urge to translate.
Oh, because we see the letters on the paper?
Yeah.
And our brain just automatically starts translating them into our native language.
Exactly. Reading is a wonderful way to learn, but it can definitely keep that native language app open in your mind.
Right.
That is why the third hack is so clever. It asks you to step away from the text completely. It's called the picture talk method.
The picture talk method. How does that work? Do we need any special materials?
Not at all. The concept is super simple. You take your phone, or maybe a magazine, and you just look at a photograph.
Okay.
Then you try to describe what you see out loud in English for one continuous minute.
Ah, I see. Because there are no written words on the page, your brain has to go directly from the image to spoken English.
Right. There is no text to trick you into translating.
You are practicing that direct bridge we talked about earlier.
Exactly. You are forcing your brain to connect concepts directly to English vocabulary with zero native language support.
I actually want to test this out right now so the listener can hear what it sounds like. Let's do a quick interactive exercise.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to look at a virtual photo in my mind. I am not going to read a script. I am just going to describe it to you using simple A2 to B1 vocabulary.
Sounds good.
I want you to imagine the scene and guess what the photo is.
I am listening. Go ahead.
Okay, let me look at this picture.
Okay.
All right. It is very sunny. I see a large area of water. The water is bright blue.
Okay.
I imagine I can hear waves crashing. The ground is made of sand, and the sand looks warm. People are smiling and happy. Some people are swimming in the water. Some people are sleeping under big, colorful umbrellas.
Well, based on the sand, the waves, and the umbrellas, that is definitely a beach scene.
Yes, you got it. And if you're listening, I'm sure you guessed it was a beach too. But notice what happened there. I stumbled a little bit.
You did, yeah.
I had to pause, say, and look for the words. But I stayed completely in English.
And what is really fascinating is what happened in our brains as you spoke. When you said, the water is bright blue and the sand looks warm, I did not see words in my head.
Really? What did you see?
I just saw a picture of a beach. You proved exactly how images instantly connect to simple English. We understood your description perfectly without needing to translate any of it into another language.
It really works. If you practice describing photos on your phone for just 1 minute a day, you will be amazed at how quickly your brain learns to speak without reading text first.
It's powerful, but we have to be realistic about this process.
Right.
What happens when you are doing this picture talk or when you are having a real conversation with a native speaker and your brain just suddenly freezes? Oh, the brain freeze. That is the worst feeling.
You forget a word and you just get stuck.
You panic. And suddenly your native language app opens up again trying to save you. Exactly. The native language always tries to take over when we panic. That is why we need a strategy for when things go wrong. We need to use fillers to buy time.
Fillers. Hack number 4. What exactly are fillers in English?
Fillers are those small, simple words or phrases we use when we are thinking. Words like, well, actually, let me think. Or,
But wait, aren't fillers usually considered a bad habit?
What do you mean?
Well, in public speaking classes, teachers always tell you not to say, they say it makes you sound unsure or unprofessional.
Ah, I see. But public speaking rules are very different from language learning rules.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For native speakers giving a formal presentation, maybe fillers are a bad habit. But for English learners, fillers are an essential survival tool.
A survival tool. Explain why.
When you forget a word in a conversation, there is a silent gap. Nothing is happening.
Just silence.
Yeah.
And that silence feels very, very heavy. It makes learners incredibly nervous. They feel like everyone is just waiting for them.
Right. And that silent gap creates pressure. You feel pressure to translate perfectly and quickly just to break the silence.
Yeah.
But if you use a filler, if you say, well, let me think about that for a second. You manage the gap. You fill the silence with a natural English sound.
So it acts like a bridge over the silent gap. It buys you time to search your memory.
It buys you time, but most importantly, it keeps your brain locked in English mode.
Oh, that's the key.
Yes, you are still speaking English, even if you are just saying, actually, or, it stops your native language from jumping in to rescue you.
It gives you a few seconds to search your mental table for the next vocabulary word or the next big Lego chunk.
Exactly.
That's such a relief to hear. So next time you are talking and you forget a word, do not panic. Do not switch to your native language. Just say, well, let me think. Give your brain a moment to find the English word. It is a completely normal part of speaking.
It really is. It's a great strategy for real-world conversations. But, using fillers is really just a tool for buying extra time.
Right.
The ultimate goal, of course, is not needing extra time at all. We want to reach a point where we do not freeze.
How do we do that? How do we make English our default setting? How do we make it our natural state of mind?
That is the dream for every learner. And that brings us to the fifth and final hack from our source, the most powerful tool of all.
Lay it on me.
Change your inner monologue.
Change your inner monologue. Okay.
Yes. Your inner monologue is the voice inside your head. It is how you talk to yourself throughout the day.
Right.
The strategy here is to start having small daily conversations with yourself in your head, completely in English.
Now, I know what you, the listener, might be thinking. Talking to myself in my head in English, I am going to feel ridiculous.
It does sound a little funny at first.
But here's the secret to why this works.
Yeah.
You are already talking to yourself all day long anyway.
You really are. You are just doing it in your native language. We want to switch the language of those daily thoughts.
How do we start?
It can be very simple. Imagine you are walking in the supermarket. Instead of thinking in your native language, you actively try to think in English.
Okay.
You say to yourself in your mind, what should I cook for dinner tonight? Maybe pasta. Let me check my list. Do I have tomatoes at home? I definitely need to buy milk.
So you are narrating your own life. You are telling the story of your normal, boring day in English inside your mind.
Exactly. And the benefit of this is huge. Even just 10 minutes a day of this inner monologue stops English from feeling like a foreign or special task.
Because it's just part of your routine.
Right. It trains your brain to accept English as normal everyday life. It becomes your thinking language.
I love the idea of a thinking language. Let's actually think about an analogy for this. It's a lot like traveling.
Okay, how so?
Well, when you only translate, you are acting like a tourist in the English language.
Oh, I see.
You are just visiting. You are holding a dictionary, like a guidebook, and you are trying to translate all the street signs. It's stressful, and you always feel like an outsider.
That's so true. A tourist is always looking at things from the outside. They're always translating the new world back into their home language.
Exactly. But when you change your inner monologue, when you start thinking in English about what to cook for dinner, what groceries to buy, you are not a tourist anymore.
No, you're a local.
You actually take up residence. You are living inside the language. You have unpacked your bags and you have the keys to the house.
And when you live in the language like that, fluency just comes naturally. The mental apps are closed, the table is clear, and the words just flow.
This has been such a great deep dive. Let's do a really quick recap for you, our listener, to make sure we remember all the tools to escape the translation trap.
Good idea.
First, we learned that translating drains your mental battery. We need to close those background apps. So, hack 1. Start by labeling your world. Look at everyday nouns and make a direct visual connection. See the cup, think cup.
Hack 2. Learn in chunks. Use big Lego blocks of language, like, I was wondering if instead of building sentences word by word.
Hack 3. Practice with the picture talk method. Look at images on your phone and describe them out loud to connect pictures directly to spoken English.
Hack 4. When you get stuck in a conversation, use fillers. Words like, well, and let me think. They buy you time and keep your brain in English mode.
And finally, hack 5. Change your inner monologue. Talk to yourself in English about your daily tasks so you become a resident of the language, not just a tourist.
And I want to remind everyone that your brain is a muscle. This process of stopping translation is hard at first.
It definitely takes work.
Your brain will want to be lazy and use the native language because, honestly, it's easier. You will make mistakes. But with training, with daily practice, it becomes second nature. Your English muscle will get stronger.
It definitely will. And before we go, I want to leave you with a final fascinating idea to ponder.
Oh, what is it?
It is something we didn't really talk about today, but it happens to a lot of people. When you finally stop translating and start thinking entirely in English, you might notice something surprising.
Okay.
Your personality might actually change slightly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a very real phenomenon. Many bilingual people report feeling like a slightly different person depending on the language they are speaking.
Right. Research shows that speaking a different language can bring out different parts of who you are. The English speaking, you might be a little more direct or maybe more polite.
You might feel more outgoing, more funny, or even more confident than your native language self.
Exactly. So the question is, as you use these brain hacks, clear your mental table, and finally stop translating, which version of you will you discover?
That is a really wonderful thought to explore on your own.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into English fluency. We encourage you to pick just one of these hacks today.
Just one.
Try labeling the objects on your desk, or try thinking about your dinner in English. You can do it. Keep practicing, keep talking, and we will see you next time.